Welcome everyone to the ScreamCast episode. I don't know. So I'm all screwed up because we missed last week.
We'll say 50 shit. I like that one.
I think we're on episode 60 by now.
Whoa, 60! We're supposed to have like a special thing.
Are we? Yeah, it's episode 60.
Is it?
Yeah.
Well, then let's have a special. This is a special Mother's Day episode.
Special Mother's Day episode, even though you guys are hearing this on Tuesday after. But hope you all had a great Mother's Day. And I mean that with I mean that truly, like no sarcasm. Like hope you guys had a great Mother's Day. Todd Farmer was actually on Twitter saying that all of you better enjoy Mother's Day and treat your mothers right because his mom is no longer with us. So it was very kind of cool seeing him open up on Facebook and Twitter about that. So hope you all had a great Mother's Day. Give your mom a hug, call your mom, and all that shit.
Wow.
So yeah, we missed last week, man. I'm all discombobulated. Our schedules have ramped up.
Amped up and ramped up. That sounds something
amped
that like
ramped.
meatheads would say.
I'm amped and ramped, bro. Let's do this, bro.
So amped right now.
I just drank a Mountain Dew amp, and I'm amped and ramped, bro.
Do they have Mountain Dew amp anymore?
I don't know.
Or did that change into to the gamer fuel?
Dude, I don't drink.
Remember when
stuff.
gamer fuel came out, for Halo? Gamer fuel. God, diabetes.
Yeah,
all these people are dead now. We can't even ask them.
I know. Stick to Coffee Shop of Horrors.
CoffeeShopOfHorrors.com. God.
Enter the coupon code ScreamCast. You get 10% off. There you go. Worked in the plug.
Jesus.
You'll be fine. No diabetes there.
Diabetes.
Today we are talking 3 recent Scream Factory releases. But first, man, we got to find out what arrived on our doorstep.
Do you remember when we used to be a Scream Factory podcast only?
We did, but so many more interesting releases were like all these other labels like stepped it up. So we're like, we can't stick to just Scream Factory anymore.
No.
Heck no.
No way.
But
no way, Hosey.
We're going to be talking Mad Max, Escape from New York, and Class of 1984, which I think all
sadly
three of them,
is not 99.
Yeah, but all 3 of them kind of work as a little glimpse into a certain time of filmmaking. It makes it kind of a fun triple feature in a way, in my opinion.
You're a fun triple feature.
All a little bit of post-apocalyptic-ness in various aspects. So we'll be talking about those. But like I said, Brad, what's on the doorstep, man? Did you?
Holy cow! I almost forgot.
We'll get the door. Pizza. Not a whole lot, because I haven't been watching anything that I've been buying. I'm in that time frame whenever I make or when I'm on a project, I fucking hate everything else.
Yeah, man, I've received some vile text messages from you.
Yeah, so just disregard like any tweets or anything like that, just because I'm in that mood where I just absolutely hate everything because I have to watch things that truly inspire me because I don't know, it's just, with the whole working on this short, I just need to get in the right headspace,
Yeah.
So I rewatch stuff that I own and things like that. I just stop watching everything new. I watch something new and I'm like, fuck it. That's awful. But it's like truly not. Like I end up liking it a lot more later.
I hear you.
So yeah, I have like I just dropped something. I have like a what's on your doorstep, and I'm just going to mix my what's on your doorstep and what's our other stupid segment called?
Pick of the week?
Pick of the week. There you go.
You want to do those up front? I can do those up front.
I'm just going to mix everything together because basically these aren't on my doorstep. I've owned these movies for a while. So I'm just going to kind of mix it up real quick.
Sweet.
And then we can get into our Scream Factory stuff. The first thing that has come up, there's going to be a lot of Italian stuff here, which works because we're going to be talking about post-apocalyptic stuff, and there's a lot of Italian movies. Blah blah blah.
Yeah, totally.
The first film is Macabro, which is also known as Macabre, which is also known as Frozen Terror, which is Lamberto Bava's one of his very first films, other than he directed some additional scenes for Kidnapped, which is also known as Rabid Dogs, that was directed by his dad. But he filmed some additional scenes on that. But this is his first step into kind of his own horror. It's a very bizarre film. It's a tale of murder and deceitfulness. Mm-hmm. It has Stanko Molnar, who looks like a Vincent Gallo, and I always forget his name. He's got 3 names, but he's in Commando. He's part of the Rogues and the Warriors. David Patrick Kelly, that's his name. He looks like a cross between Vincent Gallo and David Patrick Kelly. It's super weird, but it's about this film about this lady who has an affair, and there's an accident leaving her with her 2 children, but her daughter drowns the little brother, murders him. So she goes off and stays at a new place, and this landlord, who is blind, lets her stay in one of these rooms. And she's also trying, it's been years, so she's trying to like recollect everything with her daughter, and just try to get back with her, but she's terrified of her at the same time. But the blind landlord kind of wants her, not the daughter, but the woman. But she always hears her upstairs, like moaning and groaning, having sex with, whoever just stops by, because she's kind of hoe.
Hoeing it up.
So, she also went to a mental institution and stuff like that. And now she's out. So it's a very, it's almost like it's a film about desires. Mm-hmm. Which is kind of crazy, also about madness, murder, and, just complete insanity. And it's a little bit on the slower side. It has, like, some Giallo-esque stuff. But all in all, it's just, like, the ending is absolutely ridiculous. It's a slow burn. But anyways, if you're a fan of Bava, who actually is a very, very good director, who, directed Demons 2, Blade in the Dark, parts of, I think Delirium was another one of his films, but he's directed a lot of shit. So I would definitely, pick that one up.
Cool.
The next film is by his dad, which is, I think one of his last films, which is, Shock, which is also known as Beyond the Door 2. Mario Bava directed, Black Sunday, Twitch of the Death Nerve, a whole lot of crazy murder and murder mysteries, demonic possession movies, just a bunch of crazy shit. Well, this one's called Shock. It was widely released on Anchor Bay, like on VHS, and you could find it at Best Buy all the time. I remember picking it up. That's the very first time I picked it up, was like a clamshell VHS. But it's about a family that moves into a home and they can communicate with the dead. And it just, it's one of those films that's, it's very bizarre to the extent of the translations don't always work in these films, because they didn't film audio with a lot of the films. They film, a lot of ADR afterwards. So I think a lot of the translations lost, because things will happen in the movie and you're like, why aren't they like running or questioning? Like, they're just standing around like, oh, demons are here. Oh, what do you think we should do? I don't know. Maybe we should eat first. It's shit like that. It's like, what? Like, get out of the fucking house.
Well, you gotta get, you gotta build up your carbs and stuff like that if you're gonna be,
like,
outrunning demons.
Like, there's not even a montage of actually eating or anything. It's just that doesn't happen in the movie, but shit like that happens all the time. And the dubbing is just so weird and off. So anyways, it's It's a sequel to Beyond the Door, which doesn't make any sense whatsoever. But it's one of Bava's last films. I think it's one of Bava's last films. I have to look that up probably. I don't want to be saying something and be wrong. I'm actually going to look that up. I want to say...
Speaking of movies with Beyond in the title, Beyond the Darkness is getting a Blu-ray release from Umbrella.
What? Beyond the Darkness?
Yeah.
What's Beyond the Darkness?
Not related to Beyond the Door.
I know, but what's Beyond the Darkness? I'm lost.
Joe DiMaggio? Beyond the Darkness? It was originally released on Shriek Show.
Oh, Joe D'Amato. Oh,
D'Amato.
okay.
Sorry, I misread that. D'Amato.
No, it's fine. Yeah. Well, good luck with that. That might be fun.
I just saw it. It just popped up on their website. I'm like, whoa. So
yes, he has a film called The Venus of Ill or something, but yes, this is technically his last film. So I was right. Good thing I was almost.
Man, it would be horrible if you were wrong on something, man.
So this is another film that's about mental institution following, just insanity, dealing with also demonic possession. And the lead woman, the mother, believes that her son is possessed, which he kind of is because he's a weirdo. It's always the little boys in these movies that are so fucking freaky. Like, what is up with Italian cinema portraying little boys as the worst? Like in Burial Ground, when the little boy's like obsessed with his mother and then tries to fuck her and then bites her titty.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's so weird. Like, there's this weird relationship, but always like they're either overly annoying or they're just fucking crazy. Basically, like the little kid in the Babadook, where you're like, oh, he's cute, but he's really annoying.
Yeah, someone slapped that kid.
Yeah. So, anyways, another film that's just about possession. It's just the reason why I'm bringing up these films is because I'm not really have a selling point to them. It's just that the translations might be a little off, and the films might not be that great. But the point of these films is that they're wonderfully shot. Like, they're absolutely beautiful. They are super creative because they're also going up against American cinema at this time. And so they're really, really trying to show you something new. And that's what I appreciate about it, because there's a lot of heart behind these movies, because it's almost a struggle at the same time. But I believe Italian cinema had some of the best cinematography, especially in the 70s and the 80s. Even like the next film I'm going to talk about is absolutely batshit silly and stupid. But at the same time, it's one of those, and I'll get to it right now. It's Lucio Fulci's Manhattan Baby, probably Fulci's worst film. And that's also a fact because everybody thinks so. But Christopher Conley's in it, who's in Raiders of Atlantis, which is great. But anyways, it's a film about an archaeologist that goes to Egypt, finds this like little amulet, gives it to his daughter, and then it becomes like almost a ripoff of Poltergeist for a little bit. The room's haunted, the kids are dealing with, traveling through little portals and shit like that. But it's just very, very, very bizarre. And it's not actually not that great of a movie, but this is one of Fulci's best looking, like cinematography wise, because he really, really puts it all out there. And plus he's also getting towards kind of the end of his career at the same time. This is one of his final films. So you get to see a little bit of like craziness. But of course, Fulci's directed, the New York Ripper, Zombie. Everybody knows Fulci, Godfather of Gore. But anyways, it's just one of his films. Like it's such a rare oddity. It feels like when I was little, because I picked it up, had no idea what was going on, still don't to this day, and I just watched it recently. But, it sounds so great because it's like this ancient curse will be set on the streets. No, it's like a little suburban home and they deal with it indoors. But yeah, just a wonderful looking film. Fulci really churns it all out on this one. I think because he's getting older, and I think at the same time, it's almost feels like maybe these are like small little passion projects at the same time. So yeah, I would definitely kind of recommend that if you're a Fulci fan and you haven't seen it, it's a must, because it almost, like, his movies are kind of like his life story at the same time, of like, you know, him trying to be what he needed to be and trying to achieve, and then he achieved it, and then he was just like, I'm going to do whatever the fuck I want now. And that's kind of what his career feels like. Another Italian film this one is actually legitimately like amazing and wonderful and probably one of my favorites. It's another kind of giallo film. It's called The Fifth Chord. It has Franco Nero, which is also one of probably the biggest badass dudes in the world, because he just has to stand there and he's super intimidating. But it's about he's a reporter, not really an investigator, but he's more or less a journalist, I guess you would say, but he's an alcoholic. So this alcoholic journalist gets into kind of the field of this serial killer that's going around killing whoever. And then he becomes kind of hunted himself at the same time, and then the killer notices him. So it's basically this journalist who can't really do anything, who's also trying to, you know, write this story, but is also kind of being stalked by this killer, but he doesn't really know it yet. It's just this dive into this cat and mouse game. And it's another film that's just wonderfully shot. The score's by Ennio Morricone, so nice. You have that. It's it has Pamela Tiffin, who is absolutely freaking gorgeous. There's a shot of her laying naked on a bed, and Franco Nero comes in the room, and she's like trying to seduce him, and it's his wife anyway. But she's just laying there, and just like, it's just a perfect shot. It really is, because her butt's just sticking up, and he's standing there, and he just looks at her, and it's like, what? That's what I say. That's what I say when I watch the movie. And
then you grabbed a bottle of lotion. And
it's true.
Some tissues.
Well, I will say, like, a lot of Italian cinema films, they don't really hit that scare level, you know, because, well, again, it's that translation period where you can't really get into the characters all that well, because you're kind of swayed from that because of the dialogue, because it's just so flat. And what else would you say? It was just, it's almost like it hits a wall, you know, like you don't feel anything from these characters, because like part of their mouth matches up to the dialogue, right, but not all of it. So it's really, really hard to get into the films. I will say that, even though I'm a huge Italian cinema fan, it's really, really hard to make a connection with any of the characters. I will say that, like, American cinema, you know, the language that you speak, your dialect, it's really easy to feel what that person's feeling. But with these, it's just so, like, bland and forced. And it is, really, because it's somebody in a room just talking. Yeah.
I approach these films a little bit differently, I think, whenever I watch, like, especially a dubbed film.
Yeah, you try really hard, and it just doesn't work, you know. But with this film in particular, because of the score, because of the intense scenes, this contains one of the scariest moments ever for me in cinema history. I saw this film when I was a little bit younger, and there's a sequence where the killer is stalking a boy, and it's this long, dark hallway, and the killer kind of whispers, like, "I'm going to commit murder." You know, and he just, like, kind of whispers throughout the film, and he's a really creepy killer. But it's just this, like, dark hallway, and that always really scared me. And it's just really intense, and it's really well done. It's beautifully shot. Again, it's like most of these films. But definitely one of the most terrifying sequences that I've seen, still to this day. I think it's horrifying. But Franco Nero plays a complete badass who's a drunk, who is going to be like, he almost because like it's kind of hard because he sometimes, like when I think back, I'm like, oh, he's a cop, but he's actually not. He's a reporter, but he acts like a fucking police officer because he's always playing a police officer or fucking, you know, a sheriff in a western town or something. So definitely out of those four Italian pieces of cinema, I would definitely recommend The Fifth Chord because it's legitimately like a great film.
Cool. Who directed that again? Did you mention that?
No, that one was by, I gotta look at the back here because I don't remember the name. Luigi Bazioni. Now, if you look at the credits in the film, it's probably a different name because that's usually what they do. Like they go by American name. Yeah, it's probably actually right. So anyways, yeah, there's that. And now for the last of these, I got this in randomly by Anchor Bay. I have never even heard of this film, but I watched it and I was a little down. But it's called The Drownsman.
Oh yeah, the cover's amazing on that.
It's about a girl who basically has an accident on a lake, and then she becomes terrified of water. But there's also this backstory of this dude whose name, like Sebastian or something, who was a serial killer who would basically keep these women like in these crates and then pour water into it to make them, you know, almost drown, then pull them out and then kill them in a bathtub and drown them. But somebody fought back and killed him, and now he haunts the water. So for some reason, she's scared of water, but they her friends have an intervention with her in a bathtub, but they kind of unleash the serial killer, but she was never part of his plan, but somehow he haunts the water and gets to her for no apparent reason, and then he haunts the friends, and water is kind of the portal. That's it. So anyways, yeah, I was like, I looked at it and I'm like, oh wow, this cover's really badass. Yeah. And then like besthorrormovies.com. If you listen to this show, a new horror creation worthy of standing alongside Jason, Michael, and Freddy, The Drownsman is just that good. You were pulling for a pull quote, man. Like
either that or Anchor Bay just made that website up.
Yeah. But it was like, I had preconceived notions, I admit, because I was reading a couple things. You know, I didn't want to read any reviews, but I was like reading pull quotes. And even the back is like a throwback to the 80s slasher films. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, oh, and it's nothing like that. It is just overly silly and doesn't really do anything new.
Nice.
So anyways, that's mine. I can recommend Shock, Macabre, The Fifth Chord, Kind of Manhattan Baby, and probably not The Drownsman.
Cool.
So.
Alrighty.
But anyways, that's it. That's mine. What's on your doorstep?
I had a light week as well as far as getting to stuff, but I want to mention I did do a VOD for the first time in a while, and this is coming out on Blu-ray through Magnet Films, I believe later on this year. But it's called The Deadlands, and I wanted to mention it really quick because it got like when I mentioned it, I had like some people that said it was awesome, and then some people that just didn't like it at all. And it's a basic kind of like action revenge setup, but it's set in New Zealand back with these like the Maori tribes, which is like I guess you would consider them maybe like the Aztecs. Like if you're looking for a similarity, like it would be like Apocalypto. Like this would be kind of a fun double feature with Apocalypto. And Apocalypto. That
means I have to watch Apocalypto again.
Apocalypto's a better film, just because Mel Gibson's a badass director when it comes to stuff that's violent and things like that. But it's the same. It's a similar like simple action film set in this setting, with this like Maori like martial arts that they do. There's a lot of intimidation with their growling and faces, and they stick their tongues out, and Like some really cool ideas there. And it's the same kind of setup where this guy's tribe is basically killed by a rival tribe, and he sets out for revenge, and he knows he doesn't have the training to really enact revenge on this other tribe, so he goes to this area called the Deadlands where no one goes to, and to seek out this creature or person that they only call the monster, and it's a guy, he's like the last remaining of his tribe that was killed in this area called the Deadlands. And that actor is awesome. That character is great. Probably the standout of the film. Just a badass older guy. And for me, it was a fun kind of revenge action flick set in this setting. And it's nothing really more than that, like there's some interesting things when it comes to kind of what they believe and the afterlife and stuff like that. And this guy that he seeks out has some inner demons that he's fighting. But I rented it for like $7, and I had a lot of fun with it. It's not perfect. Like, it's obviously, I think it's a first time director, and the action scenes don't really complement this fighting style, to its fullest extent. Like, it does that thing where they do a lot of action directors now. They decide to get in really close and shake the camera a lot. And it's like, I don't know why they don't understand that if you pull back the camera and let the martial arts and the fights speak for themselves.
It's because they're not that good.
It's better. Right. I mean,
it's usually why they do that.
Probably. But, as a whole, I thought it was like an hour and a half, a fun escape. And like I said, like the setting and this Maori style, and it's shot, and it's they all speak in the Maori language. It's really interesting, and I liked it. And it's probably going to come out on Blu-ray for fairly cheap, and because Magnet films usually are pretty cheap. But I would say when you see it, give it at least a rental and check it out if you dig the stuff. If you liked Apocalypto, this is right up your alley. I dug it. Anyway,
that explains a lot to me then.
Moving along from there.
I didn't get my 2 cents. I didn't like it. That's about it. It's okay. It's an okay film. I would never say it's bad.
Yeah, I mean, I think
it's just extremely bland to me. But
yeah, but
that's why I love you.
It's weird because I didn't think it was bland at all. I dug the whole thing. But like I said, yeah, there's some missteps with kind of the action sequences, but there's enough here that I think like the brutality and of the fight. So they're like blunt hand-to-hand weapons, and I think there's a lot to be had if you measure your expectations, which I did, and I had fun with it. Next up, to stuff that's on my doorstep here. I got Dead Snow 2 a while back, and I finally watched it, and I didn't like it as much as Dead Snow, and everyone said that this was a better movie.
We're alone on that because, yeah, I did. I mean, I liked it, but man,
okay.
I didn't think it was even near as great as the original.
No, the first one has a great setup, a cabin in the woods setup, and ends on just some batshit insanity, which is a lot of fun. It's basically like Evil Dead in snow with Nazi zombies. Is the first one. But Dead Snow 2, they decide to, I don't know, like up the stakes, and it's in English this time around, which was kind of, if you watch them back to back, you're like, oh, all of a sudden everyone's speaking English. But it's okay. There's a lot of splatter in it, but I think it tries maybe too hard for the comedy angle. I think. Yeah,
that's what because I felt the first one was more or less kind of like an Evil Dead. The very first Evil Dead, kind of what Evil Dead did, and this is the reason why I don't like Evil Dead 2. I said it.
Shit.
But I love the original Evil Dead, and that's kind of how I feel, because there is still that subtle comedy in Evil Dead,
right?
And then 2 is just like, what the fuck is happening? Like, why are you trying to be so funny? Like, just fucking make a movie.
Yeah.
And it's not as like slapstick. Like Dead Snow 2 I don't think it's as slapstick as Evil Dead 2, right. But it tries to be really, really funny, and I just didn't really get that or want that.
Yeah, I mean, there is one reveal at the beginning. I don't want to give it away if you haven't seen it, but it's kind of clever. because if you know how the character ended up in the end of the first film, they, he's back here, and there's a little bit of a clever setup in there with him and how he's connected to the main evil Nazi zombie general guy. But I feel like that could have been explored more for actual kind of humor, but but they didn't. Anyway, moving along.
I do want to watch it again. I saw it like at midnight at a festival, and I was just like, I was really amped up for it. And then I enjoyed the first little bit, but once it kind of gets to the hospital stuff, and they introduce the dude from Freaks and Geeks, I always forget his name. But whenever they do that, I'm like, oh, was it Freaks and Geeks he was in?
Well, he's in Silicon Valley for sure. What the hell is his name?
Martin something?
Yeah, I can't remember. Anyway, but I like the guy. I like that. And when I saw him, I like him.
He has some great moments, but it was just, I don't know. I was a little let down on that whole thing. But anyway, moving along. Death Note 2. It's all right, but it definitely wasn't. Maybe it's the whole expectations thing, but it wasn't. I don't know. I kind of just stopped giving a shit halfway through, and I was like, all right, let's just get this over with. But a lot of inventive gore and some fun stuff there. But anyway, it's okay. But watch Hansel and Gretel instead.
Excuse me, which I need to actually rewatch. I want to watch the unrated cut of that. All right, moving along here. I imported I think it's from Sweden, but a Swedish Blu-ray of Warlock. This is the 1992 flick.
I would say around
there.
But
I have a soft spot for this movie. I rented this back in high school and on VHS, and I've been wanting to rewatch it ever since. It's not a great movie, but I've been kind of holding out for a decent transfer, a decent DVD. 'Cause the DVD, I think, is still like standard edition or Pan-Scan or whatever.
Yeah, it was like an old Artisan DVD or something.
Yeah, it sucks. But I saw this. Someone had bought this on Blu-ray, and I was like, oh, shit, there's a Blu-ray. And I was told that it was actually looked pretty good. And so I took a chance, and I got it. And if you've been holding out for this movie on Blu-ray, this is the version to get for now. I don't know if any U.S. company is going to be releasing this. But it looks good. It was
big Lionsgate owns it.
Lionsgate owns it, so never mind. You'll never see it on Blu-ray here in the States. But it was a bit pricey, but like I said, I got a soft spot for this film, and I was so pumped that it's on Blu-ray. And the transfer looks great, and so I would recommend picking this up if you're a fan of the film. But still not a great movie, but
I don't know.
Super fun to watch, man.
I think it's a little underrated. Yeah. I mean, it's definitely the best of, what is there, like 3 or 4 of them?
Oh, I don't know. I've only seen this one.
Yeah, well, I mean, Warlock Armageddon has Julian Sands in it, but I think there's 3 of them. I think God, what's his name? I always forget his name. He's the lead cop in Full Eclipse. But anyways, he's replaced by him. But anyways, it's a very odd, and I wanted those stones, man, when I was little. But it's a very odd little movie. It's very 90s direct-to-video feel.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think it's one of those nostalgic things where if you saw it when you were younger, it's kind of like I don't know, like kind of those, people will know what I'm talking about. It's kind of like, I call it one of those like Trimark titles, like Dolly Dearest or, The Granny or Pinocchio's Revenge, Rumpelstiltskin, kind of those like movies that would show up like 2 copies on the wall, Blockbuster or whatever, your local video store, and you would rent it. And they wouldn't be great, the Paperboy and Milo, stuff like that. They're just coming to me now, but like those small little horror films that Trimark put out. And Artisan put out stuff like that too when it was later on DVD. But I don't know. I think there's a soft spot because I still love like Rumpelstiltskin and Pinocchio's Revenge and shit like that. But I don't know. It goes along the lines of those.
Well, Julian Sands is awesome in it, and there's some inventive gore near the beginning where he bites a dude's tongue out and spits into the frying pan. And those are all the moments that I remember. And then, it's there's this whole time travel element where him and this warlock comes from like, not 1300s, but like, I don't know, 1700s or something. And he's followed by a warlock witch hunter, and it's just so crazy. And I don't know, I guess inventive, you know what I mean? In a way where you don't really see that. Now you just have like, Nicolas Cage in some CGI, fest of a PG-13 flick. You know what I mean?
You got to remember, this is also directed by Steve Miner, who directed Friday the 13th, and he directed one of the Halloween films.
Yeah, and his filmography is ridiculous.
Yeah, and also,
he goes into weird romantic comedies and stuff.
Written by fucking David Twohy, who also did,
right.
like The Rival and created Critters and Chronicles of Riddick and stuff like that. So you got to think with those two guys pairing up for something like some sci-fi dude versus like some kind of slasher dude, like meet up and make a movie. This was distributed by Trimark. Ha ha! Yes. But anyways, I was just like looking up who actually put it out, because I was curious, because I thought I remember that Trimark title or emblem. But anyways, I completely agree with you on that. Like, I think it was one of those that you had to see when you were younger in order to still appreciate it. I think going in new to this, it might be a little, I don't know, silly.
Yeah,
I don't know. That's kind of how I feel.
But to me, it's silly in all the right ways. But I like that it takes itself and its characters seriously, and that's what works for me when in this kind of fantastical setup, when you have the characters and everyone's taking the situation seriously, and there's no tongue-in-cheek humor, like, this is really going on, and this is all this crazy stuff is happening, and you just sit back and enjoy it for what it is. The ending, I don't know.
Don't spoil it, Sean.
No. I love the animated, because they didn't have CGI, so it's all like, it's the whole animated, like fog and electricity and all that kind of stuff, which is, for me, I don't know. It looks hokey, but I would take that over, regurgitated CGI crap any day. But anyway, so that's on Blu-ray from Sweden or Norway or whatever, somewhere over there. And like I said, pick it up if you're a fan. It is on the transfer looks great, is what I'm getting at. And if you're on the fence and want to spend the money, it's there and looks good. Let's see.
What else is on your doorstep?
Don't want to talk about this.
I don't know. What is it? I'll talk about it.
I watched Caligula for the first time ever. I got the Arrow Blu-ray, and there's a U.S. release that has both the R-rated version and the X-rated version. I got the Arrow Blu-ray because it was they were having a sale and it was super cheap, and this only has the X-rated version, which I was like, well, that was the original one that was put out, so I might as well watch this. And I wish there was some sort of feature-length documentary about this film, interviewing everyone. I would love to hear everyone's take on this, because you got hold on, let me grab it. Let me grab the disc.
Whoa, you grabbing the disc?
Grabbing
on the air.
Grabbing the disc. I mean, Helen Mirren's in this. I mean, Helen Mirren's technically in a porno now. I mean, not now, but she had, Malcolm McDowell is in it. Peter O'Toole is in this.
No, it's got a big cast.
And the behind the scenes story about this, which there's a nice little like booklet with the Blu-ray that talks about it, but Tinto Brass was brought on by, and it was produced by basically the Penthouse guys, and then Tinto Brass was brought in to direct. But it turns out he didn't want to do the full on porn stuff. He's more of like an erotic filmmaker. He didn't want to go, all the way and shoot all these kind of pornographic scenes. And, but he eventually, once they got at release because he directed it. The Penthouse guys came in. They decided to, all right, we need to add some hardcore sex in it. So they cut in all these scenes, and then Tim Brass kind of disavowed the film. He's not listed as the director, only as like photographer, principal photography. But but the film itself, man, what a weird film. I don't even know if this would have been a great film without all the hardcore stuff. You know, it's very weird. Like, there's stuff that's very Tinto Brass, like when Peter O'Toole and Malcolm McDowell are both having a conversation in Peter O'Toole's weird, like, living statue room, where there's all these just weird sex stuff going on in the background. It's such an odd scene in itself that, and then they'll go into like, oh, here's this kind of love scene with Malcolm McDowell and Helen Mirren, and then this one, this other girl, I can't remember her name. Is it Teresa Ann Savoy? I can't remember. Anyway, and then they interject like this lesbian, hardcore scene in between everything, and it's something, I guess, to experience, but what a batshit movie, man. Like, it's just amazing this thing exists. And I'm finally watching it the first time. I'd always avoided it because I was like, well, it's just a porno. But it's much more than that. I don't know. I guess you have to see it to believe it, I guess. But, yeah, so I have this in my collection now. Then I'm like, yeah, this is going to go, I'm going to go hide this somewhere in my collection so no one finds it. So I don't know if I'll ever watch it again. What do you think? Is Caligula a rewatchable movie?
No, I've seen it. I've seen it once, and I think I saw it enough. It is what it is. I mean, it's more or less an experience than I would say a great movie by any means, but that's just me.
Malcolm McDowell is just insane in it. And, he's kind of the reason why you would want to watch this, but he's fearless. You know what I mean? That's what I liked about younger Malcolm McDowell, especially because he's, Clockwork Orange and this, like he's, when he was young, especially, he was just this fearless actor that didn't care and would do pretty much anything. But anyway, Caligula, I watched Caligula. I can now cross that off of my bucket list.
Good for you. Good for you.
So I think that's all as far as the what's on my doorstep stuff. I did have my pick of the week, kind of keeping with this revenge type thing. I wanted to bring up, I did a double feature one night of Savage Streets, which is out on Code Red Blue, and I believe they're still available if you can ever find them in the store. I don't know. But I did a double feature of Savage Streets and Miss 45. Which were two, like one's a better film than the other, but they both deal with kind of this revenge aspect. And in this case, it's two female actors enacting revenge on pretty much rapists. But both films are fantastic. Like, I had a blast kind of watching these kind of back to back, and I think the Blu-rays look fantastic. I think Miss 45's on is the Draft House films.
Yeah.
And so if you don't have
Scream Factory passed on that movie.
On Miss 45?
Yeah. Yeah, I probably shouldn't say that, but I have I have like a couple people I know, but yes, they actually didn't want to release that movie.
Wow.
It was presented to them first, and I guess they denied it. And I heard that, and I was like, why would you do that? Like, why would you deny, like, I guess Abel Ferreira is how you would say it, his name. But, like, why would you do that? But you release, some movie with Tom Sizemore and a Mortal Kombat 2 monster. Dark that was that movie. Anyways. Like, I understand you got to deal with Chiller, but do you really have to turn down Miss 45?
Because Miss 45's like...
I mean, that could be a complete, bullshit story, too, but it's a pretty reliable source that I had it from. So I just thought it was a little weird, because I actually really, really, really liked Miss 45.
It's really good, and as far as a film goes, it's a better film than Savage Streets, in a way. If you're going to judge
Savage
these on
Street
artistic merit.
No, I think, but Savage Streets has that, like, build up.
Yeah.
But when all the stuff starts happening, it's just very Mad Max.
Right. They're two very different
it's where
movies. Yeah.
Max doesn't get mad until about an hour and 10 minutes into the movie, you know?
Yep.
So I think it suffers from that, which I don't know why movies did that. It really bugs me that
the long
movies,
build up.
Yeah, like it has, like it's very much like that film that I talked about a couple episodes ago with Dennis Hopper and Eric Roberts called Blood Red. Like the build up to that is just so good, but when it happens, it's like, wait, was there an action sequence? I don't remember. You know, it's like I can't remember any action sequences about that. Like if you're going to build up to an action sequence, you need, since we're talking, this is a great intertwining episode. If you're going to talk about build up, like Class of 1984 and Class of 1999, those movies build up to a fucking fireworks show.
Right.
Like when that shit goes down, it fucking goes down. You know, fucking 99, like when you're like, oh, they're not going to go to the fucking school to fight the teachers. No. The teachers aren't going to have weapons under their arms and fucking
no way.
Fire, flamethrower and rocket launcher, and they're going to be riding their bikes in the school and shooting rockets everywhere and blowing up rooms. Nope, but they do. And that fucking last 30 minutes of that movie is fucking insane.
Yeah. Yep.
So,
well, I would definitely recommend Miss 45 and Savage Streets as a double feature. If you can find the Savage Streets Blu-ray, even if you have to deal with Bill from Code Red, I would say grab it because it's a great looking Blu-ray. It's a shame that it's with Code Red because this deserves a wider distribution.
But it has special features, right? I think Savage Street. No,
no, only an isolated music track and then the trailer.
Wait, isolated music track.
Yeah.
Ding, ding, ding. There it is. Special features.
Yeah.
I always like on old DVDs back in the day, special features, interactive menu.
Yeah. Animated menu.
That's what Bill should start putting on his Blu-rays.
Might as well.
Special features, interactive menu. I would totally do that if I had a distribution company. Special features, subtitles. Special features, 5.1 audio.
Yeah. But I don't know. I really hope the rights cease with Code Red or they lapse soon, and somebody like Scream Factory or somebody comes in and gives this thing a proper release because this deserves like a
Vinegar Syndrome would do it. That's their type of movie too.
Yeah, it's screaming for a special edition. But as far as this goes, if you can find it. The transfer looks really good, and it's just a shame it's so damn hard to find. So Savage Streets and Miss 45, definitely a great double feature. Let's move in to talking these Scream Factory titles, because I think all three of these are kind of work together, and it's kind of fun that they release them all around the same time. Class of 1994 and Escape from New York were released the same week, a couple weeks back, and then last week. Mad Max got a release. And I think Mad Max is the first kind of widely distributed Scream Factory title because I've seen this in Walmart as a Blu-ray, and I've seen this in Best Buy. So you know that they picked up this title, because they knew it was going to be marketable with the new Mad Max movie coming out, and they saw the cha-ching. But we'll talk about Mad Max in a second. I think we should start with Escape from New York.
New York, 1997. The entire city is a walled maximum security prison. The bridges are mined. The rivers are patrolled. And the United States Police Force has everything under control, they think.
I'm going in.
John Carpenter's Escape from New York, the high adventure of the future. One man must go in where no man has ever gotten out. And if he comes back alone, his nightmare has just begun.
Who are you?
John Carpenter's Escape from New York.
Heard you were dead.
John Carpenter's Escape from New York, the greatest escape of them all, is about to blow the future apart.
Do you?
I do. So,
Do you?
let's see. All three of these today are collector's editions. They came with a disposable slipcase you can throw away.
And all have pretty cool.
I say that just to.
Yeah, you're a dick. Dick to everybody that appreciates it.
I know.
But actually, I'm saying that all this shit in this, like all the covers for these are actually really, really good.
Yes. Yep.
You know, great.
These ones are good.
Great artwork, which most of the time it's stuff that you could kind of pass on. But I think that all of these, especially Mad Max, is really, really badass.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, Escape from New York. Collector's edition. Luckily, I have both of these former Blu-rays, so I will be giving you my
nice
opinion because I like to be honest.
I had the old Blu-ray and I sold it, waiting for this one, and
I always sell afterwards, just for the fact of like something maybe that I want, but usually not. Like, I think the only thing I kept, because I usually get rid of them, but the only thing that I kept was Halloween 2 on Blu-ray, because Halloween 2, for some weird reason, if people don't know this, Terror in the Aisles is a special feature on.
Yeah, there's the
Halloween 2
Anchor Bay release one. Who released Terror in the one with Terror in the Aisles?
It was the one before Scream.
Yeah.
Like, for some reason, Terror in the Aisles is on that as a special feature, and I don't get it, but I was thankful, because, I mean, I always loved Terror in the Aisles. If anybody doesn't know what that is, it's kind of a weird little documentary type thing, and it's really, really good, so I highly suggest it if you haven't got rid of your Blu-ray yet, you don't know what's on there, because they didn't really advertise it all that much.
No.
So anyways, yeah, Escape from New York.
1997. New York City is a walled maximum security prison.
Do you really have to do that?
I'm done.
Everybody knows this film, so we're not going to spend too much time on it, but it's definitely one of Carpenter's best and also one of Kurt Russell's best performances in a Carpenter film.
Mm-hmm. I'd have to go with The Thing. I like him better in The Thing. But that's just personal preference.
Yeah, well, you're wrong, so I'm glad it's a personal preference. But the cast in this is awesome. Yeah. Fucking Donald Pleasence, Kurt Russell, Adrienne Barbeau, Ernest Borgnine, Harry Dean Stanton, Lee Van Cleef. I mean, it's just
so good.
Isaac Hayes. It's got a killer cast. One of Kurt Russell's like first wives is in it. Is just so we can watch her die.
I wonder if he watches that or repeat.
You know, also on top of it, shot by Dean Cundey, who is one of Carpenter's right-hand man for beautiful cinematography. So on this, the one thing that I think we want to stay kind of the most on is a new 2K scan of the Inner Positive. Now, Screen Factory isn't that big on providing us information of where they actually get the film elements from. So whenever they say a 2K scan, they did some extra work, it seems, because I think we all can agree that they usually pull the HD masters for a lot of things.
Yes.
Now, I have the old Blu-ray, and this there's a lot of talk online because Sean told me, and then I looked. People are just giving, I think, Screen Factory a hard time because of the HD masters usually and the pulls from other Blu-rays, and they just slap their name on it, which is true.
It sounds like they do the encode, though, is what I'm hearing, and
they touch them up.
Right.
But touching up is not a new transfer or a 2K or 4K scan.
Okay, right, exactly, yep.
So I give them credit because this legitimately like looks better. Like all the blacks not the black people, but all the blacks. I just wanted to clarify that for you, Sean.
Thank you.
All
Okay,
the blacks in this film look black as hell, and they're really, really good. And this is a very extremely dark movie.
Mm-hmm.
So it's definitely one of it probably looks its best right now.
Yeah. And
we can thank Scream Factory for that. Also, another John Carpenter film they released, which I'm thankful for as well. So it seems that whenever they come across a John Carpenter movie, they do their best in order to provide the best work, because I think they have to answer to probably Carpenter or Deborah Hill. Or not Deborah Hill, Sandy King.
Yes.
So you have... you definitely have the best. A lot of the special features are pulled over from the old MGM release, but there's...
but not the comic book, Brad. The comic book did not come over on this release.
Okay.
People were complaining online about that.
Really?
Yeah.
God, no.
Are you guys release the comic book? Why don't you guys release the comic book?
Well, there's a new commentary with Adrienne Barbeau and Dean Cundy, which I didn't listen to. I kind of felt bad because I should have, but I've listened to so many I've actually listened to the commentary for this movie countless times, and it's actually if you listen of the commentary between Carpenter and Russell, which it's one
of the greatest commentaries ever.
Their commentaries together are absolutely beautiful because they are friends, and it's just them both smoking cigarettes, telling old stories. And they've literally worked together on 5 or 6 films, and they worked together on Elvis, Escape from LA, New York, The Thing. What else am I missing? I know there's another one in there. Come on, help me out. Seriously, I just had a total fucking brain fart. But anyways, their commentary is actually pulled off from the Laserdisc.
Wow, yeah.
Did you catch that?
No, man, I didn't know.
when they talk about the years,
okay.
The years of the film. Big Trouble in Little China.
Yeah.
I just now thought about it. But anyways.
How did we miss that?
I don't know. I mentioned Elvis, though. That's the the weird part.
I'm impressed with that.
It was actually one of my favorite Carpenter, because I think fucking Russell did an amazing job. Other than playing Elvis for that short time in Forrest Gump, which a lot of people don't know that's Kurt Russell. But anyways, Elvis is even though it's a TV movie, it's fucking long. It's like 3 hours long, but it's really, really good.
He's
but anyways,
king, man.
I can't confirm that the commentary, because I didn't listen to it, because I've listened to it so many times on the old MGM release, but I imagine they didn't do a new commentary with Carpenter and Russell. So yes, that old commentary is pulled off from the Laserdisc.
Wow.
Yeah, not for the DVD or Blu-ray that came out. It was actually a Laserdisc commentary. Because when they talk, it's old. Because they talk about things that haven't happened, or they talk about things that you would think that they would. It's not. They don't talk about modern. You think it would be modern times if they're talking about DVDs.
Yeah.
But they mention a few things. It's like, whoa,
there's new things called DVDs coming out.
Well, yeah, it's for their shit. Their what is it? Laserdisc.
Yeah. You don't have to flip these newfangled DVDs over. You just pop them in and they play.
Is that your impersonation of Carpenter?
I have no idea.
What is that exactly?
I don't know.
So, and there's a couple new special features on it, which is a really cool one, which the visual effects.
Yeah, that was awesome.
I thought I did watch that one. I didn't watch the new interview with the still photographer because I didn't really didn't do anything for me.
No, the one that I wanted to watch right away as soon as I got done watching this was the visual effects one, and that is such a great little documentary because it makes you it shows you just how much work these guys did with all the miniatures, and it's amazing work that they would do with these visual effects, and I think that we take things for granted because everything's CGI now, and it's like modern movies have taken an art form and made it almost obsolete. With it's just amazing to see them on the set with this cityscape you know, they have a scale model of like the ocean. You know, it's a tank filled with water. There's the New York skyline. It's just incredible the work that they did, the attention to detail. You know, like they counted all the windows and all the buildings on that skyline, and Carpenter made sure that they were right on. And it's just amazing. And I think we take things for granted now. Oh, we'll just CGI it now, you know. And it's I think a lot of movies are getting back to that. Like the new Mad Max is pretty much, you know, for the most part, practical, except for some. I'm assuming the big lightning storm, desert tornado thing.
I mean, there's just certain things you can't
right,
do.
But I mean, I feel
practical.
I feel like filmmakers are starting, especially with the new Star Wars coming out and J.J. Abrams, like they're starting to see like the value of practical on a bigger scale.
I think there's so many complaints, and you know, they're fans. You know, like obviously, Abrams is a fan of Star Wars. That's quite obvious. So he's going to do his best in order to please the fans, as well as just kind of honor the, you know, in homage the effects themselves.
Yeah.
So I can definitely appreciate that a lot more, and which is actually has me excited about Star Wars.
Yeah.
Because I can't wait to see the practical effects on that shit. I think it's going to be incredible.
Yeah, so this special feature about the visual effects it's great. If you're a fan of special effects, I mean, I'm a huge fan of special effects, and this was kind of reinvigorated my love of practical. I'm always gonna talk about practical effects and how much I love them. We've both been busy, so we haven't really been able to dig into these like usual. But there is,
well, everything. I think everything is the same, right?
Well, there's the one about the score is new, on set with John Carpenter. The images of Escape from New York.
Wait, on set with John Carpenter. That's you saying that one's
that
new?
One's new with photographer Kim Gottlieb Walker.
Yeah, that's still photographer.
You mentioned that. So there's some ones, but what they did was they ported over all the old ones from the DVD, which they were all pretty good as well.
Yeah, the old DVD, Blu-ray, everything's pulled over, which is great. So you're not, if you love, this is a must-buy because, I mean, the transfer's a lot better. So, you know, it's hard because Scream Factory does release a lot of stuff that's on DVD and a lot of stuff that's on Blu-ray already, and they're getting more and more into stuff that's already been released on Blu-ray, which is kind of... I don't know. I don't really necessarily agree with unless you were doing the best you can, and sometimes they're not.
Right. We'll get into that in a second.
So hopefully, because we have another film in here that they really, I don't notice they didn't do anything. But anyways, yeah. So yeah, it's definitely I would suggest double dipping 100% on this.
Escape from New York, yes, on the double dip. This is the most comprehensive, best looking version of Escape from New York you can get, and yeah, highly recommend it on our end. But anyway, we've all seen Escape from New York. You guys get it, and let's move on.
Tomorrow, in a world gone mad, the only law will be a renegade squad of suicidal cops.
He's my prisoner, and he's not walking out that door.
And the open road will be controlled by gangs of glory roaders. Max is a cop, one of the best.
Where does they're out to get you? Scoot jockeys? Yeah, nomad trash. Well, I'll add it to my thread collection.
You made the news again.
Charges relating to the slaying of a main force patrol officer.
Who was he?
In a road blockade accident last month.
Just another glory roader, I guess.
Toe Cutter is a glory roader, one of the most sadistic.
Anything I say. Anything you say. What a wonderful philosophy you have. Take him away.
I want my baby.
You've not got a sense of humor.
Please, don't hurt my baby.
You've got a pretty face, though.
Both want the other dead. but only one can have his way. Mad Max. You don't want to make Max mad. Because when Max gets mad, he gets even. American International presents Mad Max, the maximum force of the future.
Mad Max. Like most of you, if you're genre fans like us, you've seen Mad Max. And I don't want to spend too much time on the movie, but I do want to get into. I want to start with some. Like when were you introduced to like the world of Mad Max? Like
when I was 3.
When you were 3.
No, I'm kidding. So I actually saw Road Warrior before I saw Mad Max because I didn't know they were connected. I saw them when I was very, very young.
Yeah. My first was I saw Beyond Thunderdome first. And as a child of the 80s, like it was like big budget 80s flick, and I was a fan of Star Wars, Indiana Jones, and all that stuff. So that one was like and it was PG or something like that, right? It wasn't. I don't think it was R. So my parents let me watch Beyond Thunderdome, and that one was.
Yeah, I think Beyond Thunderdome's PG-13.
Okay, but I loved the hell out of that movie. Watching it now, it has the kind of how Return of the Jedi is in like the Star Wars trilogy. Like it's not the greatest of the previous movies are better, but it was with for some reason because of the. I hear my kids moving around. Because of the just the large scale of it, I dug it. But then I watched the Road Warrior. I went backwards. So I've always watched Beyond Thunderdome. Then I watched Road Warrior, and then I finally caught up with the first Mad Max. And it's interesting going backwards, but seeing how George Miller attacks all 3 of these films almost completely different. They can all stand on their own as a film. They don't necessarily rely on each other. But when you see Mad Max, you kind of understand how Mel Gibson's character got to the point he was in Road Warrior and then in Beyond Thunderdome. But like you said, like that setup takes a good hour, right?
Yeah, it's about an hour. And then it's about an hour and 10 minutes.
Yeah, and then you have 20 minutes left for him to resolve his revenge.
Well, like, it's one of those things where they introduce all those goddamn bikers in the movie. Like, there's literally, like, 20, 25 bikers that roll into town, but then they all kind of disappear, and it's down to 5.
Yeah.
And I just thought that was very, I don't know, like, you would think that the ending, it's going to be like a I Spit on Your Grave, where it's just like, he goes after everybody, but it's the action sequence of him coming back is just very slow, and it doesn't even when it gets there, it doesn't really do it. It's like the budget was at the very end and in the very beginning for that car chase.
Yeah. Exactly.
So yeah, it's not a bad movie. It's just a little more or less on the boring side with Mad Max, especially if you see Road Warrior first, and then or Beyond Thunderdome, then jump to this. So when I saw it, it was just a little upsetting because I was like, oh, like it's not what it definitely wasn't what I thought it was going to be. Yeah. But this is another one that has been released on Blu-ray before and has had a couple like multi-packs.
Mm-hmm.
There's like
the trilogy
there's
set.
a tin. There's absolutely no difference on this whatsoever. Like I watched them. I put in the new one and I put it in the old one. And as soon as the title card not the title card, but as soon as the emblem pops up for the company that put it up, I forget the
20th Century Fox.
No. It's the old logo for whatever the original Australian company was.
Gotcha. Yeah.
But as soon as that pops up, you can see the grain and it's just like, okay, they didn't really do anything new. I mean, it looks good though. I mean, it's a really good transfer, but it's just there's nothing new other than the special features on this.
There's one new interview segment with Mel Gibson, Joanne Samuel, and then the director of photography, David Egby, which is a really good segment. But that's it. That's all. There's, that's the only new one, and luckily this is pretty cheap. But I want to talk about the transfer of this one because this morning, right before we recorded, I popped them back in again and compared them. The Scream Factory's version, the colors are more muted for some. They must have done a color correction on the HD master. The colors are more muted, and it just doesn't pop like the old one did. And I don't know if they're trying to make the skin tones look more natural or whatever, but the sky's not as blue. The skin tones I don't know. It's just something off with this transfer. Some people are complaining about compression issues. I didn't see any, but if you're in tune to that, you can see maybe some blocking or whatever. Someone said at the 15-minute mark, blah blah blah. That I don't notice that stuff. I don't know. All I noticed was the color is more muted in Scream Factory's transfer. It's not transfer, in their encoding of the HD master. So, which is interesting. It's like if you're going to get the HD master, why mess with it? Unless 20th Century Fox did some sort of color correcting on their end. I'm not sure how this stuff works when it gets from the HD master to the Blu-ray. I'm not sure what happens, but apparently there's a step where they encode it to Blu-ray. And in that step, they messed with it a little bit. And I could tell. But you said you couldn't tell?
No, I didn't really notice anything.
Yeah.
I will say that a lot of Scream Factory titles are a little more yellow.
Mm-hmm.
Like for some reason there's like a yellow tint that happens, but it's just not very noticeable. Like as soon as you start watching the movie, I think it your eyes kind of adjust.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think people need to start thinking about that a little bit more when they're watching these movies. Like, if you're doing a screen-by-screen comparison, then you might notice things. If you're watching movies that way, I suggest you stop.
Yeah, exactly.
But if you watch the movie itself, your eyes will adjust. Okay, well, I take that back, because if your brain doesn't work correctly, which a lot of probably doesn't, because there are a lot of people that are just harping on how awful things are. Which, if you shit on the Scream Factory release, you're shitting on the old MGM release too, because it's the same fucking thing.
No, there's a difference, man. There is a difference. But like I said,
all right.
There is. But what I'm saying, you're right though. I mean, pop the movie in and watch it. Like, I think what they were trying to do was kind of color correct this a little bit, and the skin tones to me do look a little more natural. The 20th Century Fox release things, the colors are bumped up, and maybe they did that intentionally to kind of, Blu-ray, beautiful colors and blah blah blah. But it seems like the Scream Factory encode, they toned it down a smidge. But if I didn't have the other one to compare it to, I wouldn't notice and I wouldn't care. Like, I think it looks fine for what it is. If I think it all depends on personal preference. Do you want your how do you want your movies or whatever? Do you want it? I don't know. I didn't see compression issues. People notice things like that, whatever. But I didn't notice any of that. And if I didn't have the old one to compare it to, I wouldn't care at all. Like, and it's a fine looking transfer, The explosions pop, like it sounds good. I just don't get this magnifying glass mentality that you're mentioning, where they take screenshots from each one. That, to me, that's a waste of time. I mean, I'm too busy for that crap, For $12.95 or whatever, is this Blu-ray great? Yeah, it's great. Is it, does it have more than the previous copy that I bought? No. Well, one extra interview, is that worth the $12.98? I think so. I like hearing Mel Gibson talk about his stuff. I like hearing him talk about his actual, how he got the part and stuff like that, which is an interesting story. So, to me, is that worth the money? Yeah. So, I don't know. I
like how you answer your own questions.
Yeah, you do. But, if you're, I don't know. It is a shame though that this couldn't, but I don't know. Like, did this need a new transfer? I don't know. Who knows? But, I think there's a lot of harping on it that shouldn't be, but if you're expecting it to look exactly the same, it's a little bit different. It depends on personal preference. But, I don't know, man.
What do you know?
I don't know. I just don't know.
You don't know?
But it's fine. I was surprised to see that the colors were a little more muted, and for me, I like stuff to pop a little more. And so I'm gonna hold on to my old Blu-ray and kind of whenever I watch this, who knows which one I'll watch, but I'm going to hold on to the old one for a while until I kind of, But but with either of these, like, the people like criticizing Scream Factory, and one guy in particular was like, their guy who does their encode should be fired. It's like, no, I don't think there's anything that bad with these releases. Are they necessary? Yeah. Are these extremely necessary? Since they've already been on Blu-ray, maybe the Mad Max wasn't necessary, but it's a moneymaker for them, man. They got to make money, and they saw this. They saw that Fury Road was coming out, so get this sucker in a collector's edition in stores the week before or a couple weeks before the new Mad Max movie comes out. Hell yeah, that'll make some money. And if Scream Factory makes more money, if they're successful, they're going to start digging into, I think, the more overlooked or underrated,
and they are, really.
And they are, man. This Summer of Fear they got coming out, it's pretty badass. So we got some great stuff coming down the line for them. So, I'm not one to harp on a company for their decisions. I don't think they were lazy, I think they were given they worked with what they were given. Did they do a great job with the encode? Maybe they could have done better. Who knows? But
you just said you weren't going to judge.
I'm not judging. I think it looks fine for what it is. But
yeah, no, it's fine. I mean, it's nothing amazing, but it's just, I mean, if you like the movie, if you want to support Scream Factory, I suggest getting it.
I agree.
Even though we have said our piece about Scream Factory in the past, I mean, we still enjoy their, releases, and we want them to continue, because if you take them out of the equation, then, you're not going to get some of the things. I mean, you probably still, but if you have multiple company releases older films, you're going to get more and more.
Yeah. I think they're in a position a little more of like they need this sub-label of Shout Factory they need the money to get this more obscure things and their own, I think there's a lot more investors involved than these other smaller labels, so they have to do these kind of releases that they know will bring in some cash before they can focus on the smaller, more unknown releases. So for me, I mean, they're not, it's like, people make Scream Factory out to be like this label that's like, oh, we're gonna fuck over our fans. Like we're gonna release as shitty release as possible.
Yeah, well, I think it's because of their mistake of fucking up in the past.
They have, but
of doing, some really odd,
right,
some really odd things, and also just kind of doing silly things. But I think every company is going to have something like that.
Plus, they're fairly new, so every company's going to have their missteps, but, I think that they've learned a lot of lessons, and I think, like, I'm super pumped for the rest of the year for them. Let's jump into Class of 1984.
Class of 1984.
Take a look at my face. I am the future.
Class of 1984. Their only goal is power.
I run this school, man.
Their only law is survival.
If you want to survive around here, you have got to learn to look the other way.
Their only allegiance is to themselves.
Still believe in all that bullshit that holds it together.
I pledge allegiance!
Otherwise, should have done me right. Like this. Hey, look what he done, man! He tried to kill me!
Somebody's got to stop this insanity.
Or you simply cannot afford to fail this class. Now, what is the answer?
I am the future. I am the future. I am the future.
But you've taught before, and nothing like this has ever happened.
All right, I gotta deal with it. Who's gonna protect you?
I'm gonna play some more later.
He's one man trained to deal with students, but they've pushed him to the limit. They've gone too far. Now he's going to give the class of 1984 the lesson they deserve. 1984. Is this the future?
Take a look at my face. I belong to the future, and the world belongs to me. Take a look at my face.
It's going to be really, really hard not to talk about Class of 1999 the whole time.
I know. And if they were thinking ahead, if this is a misstep by Scream Factory, because they could have done not necessarily a double pack, but also released Class of 1999. And
Lionsgate owns that, though.
Fuck Lionsgate. God damn those guys. Unfortunately, that's not the case. But Class of 1984, it's a Mark Lester film. This was my first time watching it. And I think I was expecting something a little more post-apocalyptic, something a little more, bad shit, like Class of 1999. I've seen that, and that involves like cyborgs, evil teachers as cyborgs and stuff. This one is more of, it's kind of like Class of Ridgemont High with punk rockers and a smidge of post-apocalyptic thrown in.
Yeah.
And it was more of a character study of this teacher up front, and it has a slow build. It was more, I wasn't expecting that. That said, I really, really enjoyed watching this film. I think this is a good example of a slow building up to something memorable in the end. This kind of slow, like this starry-eyed teacher comes in. He's going to change the world, right? Into the school that's like, because this was in 1982, and I don't think schools were this bad, but you go to like LA now, and you got schools with metal detectors and stuff like that, and you have like violence in schools, and we've seen throughout the years stories of violence happening in schools. I don't know if that was happening that much in 82, so to see this film now where shit has happened it's very interesting to see that
well, there's even like a prostitution thing in the film, you know?
Yeah.
That one of the high schoolers is running the prostitution.
Yeah. Yep.
And it's like, what? Like, whoa, that's a little much. But I mean, we are set in the future. I mean, it's the same thing as, Class of 1999, where the teachers are old military robots with a training of a teacher program. So I mean, right. I think both films kind of jump out there. The only one that doesn't is Class of 1999 Part 2, which doesn't really do that.
There's a sequel.
Yeah. There is. It's has the dude, what's his name? Sasha Mitchell, I think it is. Huh. He played in like Cody in Step by Step. But yeah, it's basically it runs off the Class of 1999, where there's a teacher that goes into the school and he starts killing the kids, and they believe he's a cyborg.
Huh. What's interesting is you can look back on the progression of those films back to this one, Class of 1984, where Class of 1984, the teacher is the hero. Whereas in the other one, in the Class of 1999 and Part 2, the students are the heroes, right? Is that how it works?
Yeah, Cody Culp and
so it's
and
interesting
Hector.
to kind of see like the bridge between 84 and then 99. Like the schools have gotten so bad, the kids are so unruly. Like by Class of 1999, they have to have like military robots teaching these schools because things have gotten so bad.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty cool sequel.
Yeah.
Showing the evolution of that stuff.
Yeah.
You know, but it's funny because I think when it came out, there was no, it was like 8 years later. I don't think there was any tie-in to that. Because even the promotional trailers, it wasn't like first in class in 84. It was nothing like that. So it's kind of bizarre. And also the fact that, in Class of 1984, it was released in 82, but they say 84, so there's like a 2-year period.
In 2 years, the world turns to shit.
In 99, it was 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
So, but thankfully in 99, we didn't get military-grade robots to teach our kids, and, we had to fight back.
I want to talk about the cast in this. What'd you think of young, tubby Michael J. Fox?
It's funny. That's so funny.
I didn't even know he was in this film when I started watching it. And then then I saw in the beginning it says like introducing Michael Fox, and I was like, is that Michael J. Fox? And then he shows up with the trombone, and I was like, and just this little band geek, you know. I was just like kind of taken aback. He's great, you know. This little smart ass kid, you know.
Yeah, no, I think the whole, you know, with even Roddy McDowall and Timothy Van Patten, you know, I think it's got a solid cast, because, you know, the lead, Peter, the guy that plays the lead of the gang, he is pretty menacing.
Oh yeah,
he's fucking scary. So yeah, he hits that role perfect. I mean, even like, I think all the kids are very intimidating.
Totally, man.
Yeah, because, I mean, you have, what's the other guy's name? Like, Drugstore. This is the drug dealer. And then you have the one that has the reverse swastika. Barnyard.
Barnyard, yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, all these guys, I mean, there's not a lot of them. But, man, just the small thing, and especially the lengths that they go to, it's just very, you know, just... It truly is scary.
Yeah, I mean,
you know, it really, because once, like, you just kind of feel bad. You kind of feel bad through the whole entire film.
Well, yeah,
because you have Mr. Norris. I always can't remember. I don't know who that actor is. I can't.
Perry King.
Okay, yeah, you have Andrew Norris, who has that good heart that really tries.
He wants to change the world, man.
But I think that's the cool thing, because I think
his heart's
every teacher in real life, they set out to do that.
Yes.
But they're all faced with asshole kids.
Yes.
Like, every teacher in the entire world has had a troublemaker student.
I was a substitute teacher for a couple years.
I would give you so much shit.
And I had those moments where I was like, I just want to strangle this child right now in front of me.
Yeah,
but,
so, like, it's a, you know, I think taking that, you know, that teacher that's fresh, that gets in there, that really actually has those good kids, and really tries, but is met with just this violence, but also taking matters in his own hands, then we get into movie world, you know?
Yeah.
So I kind of like that balance of reality, and then it just dives into a revenge movie.
Yeah.
I hear children.
Yeah, they are up and around, and my wife's going to kill me because it's Mother's Day, and if they wake her up.
Wait, she's supposed to sleep in on Mother's Day?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Yep. So I think that means we need to prematurely wrap this up.
There's so much to talk about.
I know, man. Oh, man. Get the iPad. Get the iPad. Keep him quiet. Give me 10 minutes. Don't wake mommy up. Dear God, this is a nightmare. Everyone, when somebody says, "Oh, 3 kids are no big deal. You'll be fine if you have 3 kids," they're lying. It is ridiculous. All right, let's bring this down in 10 minutes here.
I'll just talk.
Where are we going here?
No, I would just say this is, you know, originally this is Anchor Bay DVD release. Also, Cult, I think they had a small little label for like Cult Movie Mania or something like that. They had like a sub label. I don't know if that was sub for Lionsgate or whatever, but, you know, they like released Kidnap. They released, you know, Chud, Class of 1984. They released a few things under that label, and this is one of them as well. But definitely some of this is probably the bestest film. It is the bestest films ever looked.
It looks fantastic.
It's kind of an odd release for Scream Factory in a way, I thought. So but I'm very happy about that at the same time. Like, I was very stoked that Class of 1984 is being released by Scream Factory and given a Blu-ray treatment. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Of the three we've talked about today, I think this one looks the best.
Yeah, no,
as far as like, I was really
far.
surprised how well it looked.
So, but I really hope this kind of. I think it's funny that it's funny, and I'm also really excited that Scream Factory is diving into things like this. Like, I mean, Escape from New York, Mad Max, and Class 1984, 3 films that kind of go against what their label was originally created for.
Right.
So I like how they are branching out and, and doing kind of their own thing. But they always have this, that's not a horror film. Well, who gives a fuck? It's released.
But it's still a genre film, and they're...
No, yeah, I think they're a genre
label
label now. Yeah.
Yeah, there are, these R-rated genre films, like, go for it, man. They're not released. I mean, the only one that I can say is Supernova. Like, that one could have been left alone. Like, that one, I legitimately like, why are you guys releasing this on Scream Factory? That could have been a Shout Factory title, if they want to do that.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's just one of those things where, I think they're at the point now they are comfortable with what they're doing, and they just don't really care what the fans think on that side of things. Like, just release what you want to. I'm all for that. So, but one thing I do want to mention is that, this is another film. We talked about Class of 1999, which is directed by Mark Lester as well. But Mark Lester, a lot of people probably aren't 100% like know what he's about. But dude, he has directed some of the best action movies out there. I mean, he directed after 84, he did Firestarter with Drew Barrymore. He's done Commando with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Mm-hmm. He's responsible for that. He did
Showdown in Little Tokyo.
Yeah, Showdown in Little Tokyo with Lundgren and Lee.
Yep.
He's done. He did a movie called Blowback with Van Peebles and James Remar. That's really fucking good. He did. He even did a comedy with John Candy and Eugene Levy. Armed and Dangerous. He's a director of that. So I mean, he's kind of all over the board. He's done some great like 90s action films like Extreme Justice and Public Enemies, Night of the Running Man, which is not a sequel to The Running Man. So he now just kind of does dinosaur movies. But
Poseidon Rex.
Yeah. He had like Pterodactyl and like Coolio was in it or something, and then he has like Poseidon Rex coming out.
Hey,
but anyways,
the dude needs to retire. Let him just make his money and settle down.
So, but yeah, he's done. So he's a great director. He's a great action movie director. He knows how. I mean, even Commando. Like, talk about another film that's about build up.
Oh yeah.
Even the Firestarter, when they're at kind of her grandfather's ranch and everybody shows up and she just starts fucking throwing fireballs not at the ranch, but towards the end of the film where she's throwing like full on big fireballs at the house and the house is blowing up. Like, some great special effects in that movie. Showdown in Little Tokyo, the shootout scenes and fight scenes in that film. Like, he really knows how to take action sequences and push them to the edge. So he's always been a favorite of mine, and even Class of 1984, kind of like a more independently made movie that actually got banned quite a bit when it was released, due to the fact of that it really extremely intense Roddy McDowell scene where he pulls the gun out on the students and basically tells them all to get in their seats and he's going to teach them. That's an extremely effective scene, but also terrifying on the other sense of this is one of the good guys that is actually losing his mind rather than the gang that is actually, going after Mr. Norris.
Yeah.
We're at the tables turn and we're actually afraid now. And you really stop breathing during that scene because that is truly terrifying. But yeah, I could totally see why this was banned. I mean, for that scene alone, I think that scene where he pulls the gun out on the students is a lot heavier than all, like, even the rape sequence.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert, sorry. That sequence in the build-up to the final battle.
Yeah.
Like,
that's the most, to me, that's the one that jumps out the most.
Yeah, it's
as
the most
tense
memorable.
Yeah.
And nothing really happens either. Like, it's
Right.
not a huge, like, it's not an action sequence. It's just very, like, subtle, but you're like, holy shit, like, what would you do in a situation like that?
Yeah.
Like, you actually have this guy who's taking a passion to kind of a new level.
Yeah.
But, that's just due, and I will say, out of all his films, this is also one of the best scripts he has. This is a really well-written movie, which is also written by Tom Holland, who, did Fright Night, Child's Play, Thinner, Stranger Within, Psycho 2, I think he did as well. But anyways, I think all in all, like, everything came together so well for this film. This is, like, truly a special movie on a level of being so independently made and going through the trouble it did and finally finding its audience years and years later, because I saw 99 before I saw 84, and I had my all movie guide like in 1994, 95 was a little disc I would put in my computer, and it would have every movie listed in there up until 94 or something. And you could click on, it was basically IMDb, but just on a disc. And I would click, and that's with that disc and then all movie guide in 1994, 95, I had it. That is what made me who I am today.
Wow.
And because it was the only resource. Like, IMDb wasn't that like popular, or I don't even know it. Like, did IMDb exist in 95? Like, how long has IMDb been around? I mean, you should know. You use it.
Yeah. I'm not sure, man. I'm trying to remember, like, back when I started using the internet more heavily, and I don't think that, I don't think in 95 I was really using it for movies. I was.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly when I started
shit.
using it actively. I think it's been around since, probably the early 90s.
Yeah.
But also, the internet wasn't that big of a thing where you actually had it, you were on dial-up. So putting a disc in was a lot easier than going online and waiting for web pages to load.
Yeah.
So,
Crazy.
that's when I found, Mark Lester, clicked on 84, and then I tracked down a VHS, and then Anchor Bay put it on DVD years and years ago. So yeah, that was always very cool to watch films like that and get in touch at such a young age and discover things like this, because these are truly special movies. And I don't think Scream Factory knows what they have just yet with something like this.
Right.
I could be alone on that too.
No, it's fantastic. They put together some fantastic special features. I didn't get to watch all of them. I think I started Blood and Blackboards, interviewing Mark Lester and Marilyn Ross. But I really want to dig into this. I want to hear the audio commentary, and all the other interviews, because this movie really affected me. Like, I was surprised at how good it is, and kind of the the social commentary that it has, and it's kind of relevant even more so today with with schools. And I got kids that are going to be they're in the school system, you know what I mean, and what's it going to be like when they're in high school, which every parent kind of deals with. So yeah, it's a great film, man. It really surprised me. I thought it was just going to be some just some post-apocalyptic craziness, but it actually is a lot more than that, and I think people should check it out.
So, but one thing I do want to mention as well is that this is another film that they took a new transfer.
Yeah.
It's not an HD master. They actually took the interpositive of because they did the interpositive on Escape from New York too. Yeah, they did the interpositive on Escape from New York. So they did the interpositive on this, and it they did pull a lot of like the Blood and Blackboards thing. I think it was of course the commentary. A few things were pulled over from the old DVD, but the audio commentary with Mark Lester, I think that's definitely something pulled over. So, but I mean, still, I think it's a special. I think it's a collector's edition in the sense of a new transfer. And this is something. This is another film that would be so easy to put just on Blu-ray without any special features. So I'm glad they took the extra time with something like this, because this is a special movie to me. And I'm glad that they're paying attention even to the smallest movies.
Yeah.
With these things, rather than just taking the more popular like Mad Max Escape from New York and putting a bunch of special features on them.
Yeah, no, this one's definitely worth picking up for sure. And I definitely, if you haven't seen it, this is a blind buy. Grab this thing, and it is really good. Like it's a much better film than what you think it would be. But hey, dude, I gotta wrap up. We gotta wrap up, and I gotta start the Mother's Day festivities. So, anyway, next week we are going to be introducing a kind of a contest or something, so you can win a Blu-ray of Blood and Black Lace from Arrow Films. So make sure you're listening next week so you don't miss that. I may also throw one other Arrow Blu-ray in, The Long Goodbye. It's not a horror movie, but it's definitely a fantastic film. So
yes.
So we telling you guys how you can win that next week. Brian is hopefully going to be back. I'm going to keep my fingers crossed. He's planning on it. But until then, you can always go to thescreamcast.com and check out our previous shows. You can subscribe to us on iTunes and Stitcher if anybody still uses that. And we have T-shirts and mugs available for you to purchase and show your support. I think that's it. OneOfUs.net. Check out their other podcasts as well.
Nerdly.
And nerdly.co.uk. Can't forget them. They've been a huge supporter of the show. We really thank them. All right. And that's going to do it for this week's show, everybody. Have a great week.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for wishing me a good week.
Brad, have a great week.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye, everybody.
All right. See ya.
Oh, don't tell me you're leaving. The party's just begun.